What the heck is going on here? Hey, now. Peace, peace. How you doing? What's good with you? Peace, peace to everybody. How's everybody doing today? We about to get into some hot tea. Talk about some Neverland. I do have one thing I do want to say about Neverland before we get started, though. Peace, peace. Hi, hey, everybody. I do want to say one thing about Neverland. Since we're on topic with Neverland, I know a lot of we will associate that with Michael. I'm just gonna say MJ. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, fam. Um, bye. See you later. Thank you for joining. Um, we associated with Michael. Well, I don't want to say Michael, y'all, but MJ. We associated with MJ. But and since a lot of the things has been coming up with the Epstein files, which is another live that I'm going to dive into probably sometime this week. Definitely is my favorite too. But what I'm about to say might hurt your feelings a little, just a little. Um, because he's a can't go wrong. He is definitely a legend. Um, he is a masterpiece when it comes to music. I've grew up with MJ's music, so he is definitely a household name. But with this Neverland, that we're gonna get into the dark side of Neverland. Not so much dealing with MJ, but that was his theme when it came to his real estate, where he stayed and stuff like that. And like I said, with these Epstein files coming up and all of that, a lot of people don't want to believe that MJ is a part of the Epstein files or, had some affiliation with Epstein, but truth be told, there's evidence, there's documentation of MJ. Okay, we've seen it. He's been to court for it. He's settled a lot of these, some of these cases out of court. Okay, so I'm not gonna say that MJ was not a part of the whole scheme with MJ because there's evidence before we even knew about the Epstein files that MJ was, being inappropriate with children. Okay, and I still love the guy, musically wise. But when it comes to people's private lives, we don't know them personally. So when things come out in the public, just because these people are popular, which is a lot of things that I face even in my hometown, or maybe you do too, when a lot of people, when a person is popular, regardless of what they have done, people will overlook it because of their popularity. And I'm a type of person that, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And it is what it is. Okay. I'm not going to say that he's innocent when there's documentation of him going to court for these allegations and him handling them in court or outside of court. Okay. Pertaining to the NDA. Okay. So, but back to Neverland is what we're going to talk about, because there is a dark side to it other than the fairy tale story we was given, given as children. There is a dark side that also connects to MJ dealing with the dealing with Neverland. So we're going to get into the energy dealing with Neverland. Like I said, I know a lot of people don't want to believe the fact that, MJ was a part of something so um inappropriate, but the documentations, I don't know what to say. Michael Jackson didn't do it. Yeah, a lot of people, I was one of those people too that said Michael didn't do it, but the documentation speaks otherwise. Anytime I feel like a person has to pay somebody out of court for a case, civil court, to me you're guilty. You feel what I'm saying? Same thing with what R. Kelly did with the girl that's also coming out now with the book that had the video years ago with her giving him a golden water shower, right? When that became very viral back then in the early 2000s, because a lot of people didn't want to believe that R. Kelly was part of some type of, disrespectful, inappropriate behavior, but he handled that case out of court and he paid the girl off, and there was an NDA involved. Same thing with Michael Jackson. Okay, so I cannot be accurate of where he doesn't get it because that's MJ. Yeah, we would like to believe that he didn't, but the documentation points otherwise when you are handling things out of court and you're paying families off. All right, so that's just what I'm at with it. But he's still a legend in my book. When it comes to the music, he's still a masterpiece of music. When dealing with his music, he's still a household name. But behind closed doors, we just never know. But that's not what I want to do. I'm not here to bash MJ. Um, but if you want to, if you feel it that you might need to research a little bit more about it, go ahead, have at it. My thing is, I just want to talk about the Neverland and why it was so much of a atmosphere for Michael Jackson. That was his theme when it came to his real estate. And a lot of us know that Michael Jackson never, or MJ, because I don't want to say Michael Jackson before they try to, get away with my video. But MJ, he never had a childhood, so I could understand solely why the Neverland was so symbolically connected to him. But yeah, for what I know, from my early experiences of tapping into MJ's energy when he passed years back, and me going into meditation and connecting with that spirit, that energy, yeah, it showed me a lot. And it definitely exposed those factors dealing with MJ. But you're You're your own person and you can believe what you want to believe. All right. So I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna bash anybody for believing what they want to believe. We all have our opinions and the way we feel. But just dive a little deep into it if you want to. But back to the Neverland. I was diving into this Neverland energy when I was watching videos dealing with MJ and Epstein files and stuff like that, which kind of prompted me to just dive into the centerpiece of the Neverland and the energy surrounding Neverland. Not his real estate, but just that symbolic image of Neverland. And I came across some information that I dived into. I didn't get it from the internet or anything like that because a lot of times when I bring information, it's a lot of downloads that I've gained internal. But I definitely dived into the Neverland, and I never even thought about Neverland having a dark side to it. But I kind of understand it the more I got into the information. But there is also the Lost Boys that connect to the Neverland story. Okay, um, Lost Boys, you know, being into Neverland. Okay, and we're going to get into the significance of the Lost Boys too. So maybe a lot of us can be able to relate to this Neverland. But the shadow origins of the Neverland that I had got into, that Neverland was not always a paradise, and we was perceived that as children. Going to Neverland is a fairy tale or a realm, a dream realm where children never grow up. Okay, and we felt like that was so fascinating to hear when we were children. But the dark side of Neverland, it wasn't always a paradise. Okay, and of eternal youth. Um, Long before Peter claimed it, and I'm reading my notes from my laptop. So if y'all see me reading the screen, long before Peter claimed it, the island was a dream graveyard. Okay, it was a dream graveyard. And peace to everybody that's coming in. And if you don't mind, like, subscribe, share the video. That's all I ask. And comment, comment so we can talk. But it was a dream graveyard, a place where forgotten wishes, abandoned childhoods, and lost memories drifted like mist. When they're talking about this, when I'm diving into this energy of this shadow origin dealing with the Neverland, a dream graveyard of forgotten wishes, abandoned childhoods, and lost memories, I am tapping into that dark ether, that subconscious mindset, the nothingness, basically, where everything is pushed to the back of the mind, okay, and it's forgotten, okay. Peace, peace, fam. How you doing? All right, and it's forgotten. um Even connecting this energy to innocent children or being an innocent child and things transpire in your childhood. Okay, so a lot of this energy was surrounding this graveyard of dreams. Okay, every child who ever cried themselves to sleep, every imagination that dimmed with age left an echo there. Okay, so this Neverland, the origin, the shadow fact, dealing with the dark ether, that nothing is, that dark internal darkness within self. Um, it holds a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, um, lost memories, like once said up here, and just forgotten wishes, things that we put in the back of our mind, okay, and just locked it away. Okay. Over centuries, those echoes start to thicken into a world. It actually starts to shift into your reality, is what they're speaking upon. What is, this is talking about. Over the years, over the centuries, those echoes that was once loud, that we just pushed back in the back of our mind, are now starting to thicken into a world, which is starting to become a part of your reality, whether it's through relationships, connections with other people, your mental, physically, your journey, you living in your journey. And there was worlds built from long and always, that have a cost to it. Okay. All right. So it's always a cost to everything, which is repercussions, consequences, and that nature. Now, the Lost Boys dealing with the Neverland, which is based off the children who never grew up, or the children who never grow, um, that never grow. All right, these lost boys, okay, were not lost. That's the misinterpretation that we got in the story. But in reality, they were never lost because they wandered away. They kind of like drifted away. Okay, they were taken, pulled through cracks between waking and dreaming at the exact moment they felt most unseen. Okay? Neverland sensed loneliness like a scent and fed on it. Now, going back to MJ, because like I said, I'm not trying to make this about MJ, but Neverland connects to MJ as well. MJ never grew up. All right? He was lonely. He can sense loneliness on other children, and he fed on that. Okay? This is why he had young children, young boys as friends. Okay? And I know a lot of people want to be like, oh, that's because he never grew up. He didn't have a childhood. It's still kind of a little weird. You know what I'm saying? For a grown man to be completely have a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old as a best friend. Think about it. But Neverland sensed loneliness and it like a scent and it fed. Okay. So once the boys forgot their families, not by accident. Okay. Now think about it. All of these boys that was lost or so-called lost, they basically wandered away. Okay. And they were taken under someone else's wing. All right. Which father drifted them away from their families. And that's just not by accident. Same thing that was going on with the whole scenario with MJ. Okay? I don't want you to just look at MJ as a star. Everybody has a life. Peace, peace, fam. How you doing? All right? Once there, the boys, like I said, they forgot their families not by accident, but because the island ate their memories, okay? To keep itself alive, okay? This Neverland feeds off of this type of energy, okay? All right? I'm going to help you, boo, because this nonsense is something that you don't have to watch. Okay? You don't have to watch it. You really don't. How do I get your little ass off of here though? Here we go. Okay. I'm not gonna deal with the nonsense either. If this is not for a channel for you, please move it. Go to it somebody else. Okay? If you don't have an open mind, please go. All right, this is an open mind channel. And if you don't have the open mind, please go. Because narrow minds don't grow. They don't evolve. And we talking about elevation over here, baby. Okay? So if you're not on that timing, I need y'all to go on and roll around and find somebody else y'all can goddamn troll. Because I'm going to block your ass. But anywho, so, this island, Neverland, it ate up their memories. It fed off their memories. And it only does that to keep itself alive. Okay? Almost same as not the subconscious, but your consciousness. Okay? All right? Each forgotten mother, each erased name became another vine, another tree, another glittering star in the fall sky. Now, they're talking about how this island, okay, and if we want to be spiritual about it, island, okay, your first eye, okay, ate their memories to keep itself alive. This deals with the connection, connecting to your first eye. All right, so each forgotten mother, each erased name, became another vine, another tree, another glittering star in a false sky. Okay, and I love the fact that they use false sky. All right, eternal youth was not a gift; it was a trap. All right, it's a trap. All right, so we're gonna get into Peter Pan a little bit right quick because he is the main character dealing with Neverland. Okay. Um, Peter, for one, was the first child, okay, that the island ever claimed willingly. Willingly, okay. He arrived full of wonder, as most children are. Most of us are, we have this energy as a kids. We're very observant, aware. Um, we be wondering, just be all into shit. It's another word that I actually was looking for, but he arrived full of wonder, and Neverland adored him. It shaped itself around his imagination, bright when he was joyful, violent when he was angry, wild when he was afraid. Okay? So Neverland is not only a part of the consciousness, but it's a major part of Peter Pan's consciousness. Okay? All right? The thing is, Peter never grew up though. And so his emotions never matured. All right? When they're talking about, Peter never grew up, they're not just talking about, him in height or body wise, physical wise, but mentally, okay? Which is why his emotions or energy motions never matured, okay? They never became, I don't want to use matured, but I can't get another word. But his energy motions never matured, okay? His joy was ecstatic, though, and his rage was catastrophe. Okay? Very enraged. Okay? So it was the both sides. Okay? The high and the low. Okay? Which all of us actually have. We have that high energy, we have that low energy. All right? But his joy was ecstatic and his rage was very chaotic. And we all carry that energy. All right, especially when it comes to the two-sided brain, when it comes to your consciousness and your subconscious. All right. Every time a lost boy questioned him. Every time someone wished to leave, the island twisted Peter's fear of abandonment, which is one of the major attributes dealing with Peter Pan. The abandonment. A lot of us deal with abandonment. MJ dealt with abandonment. Yes, he had both parents. Yes, they stayed together. Yes, they was married. He was in a two-parent home. Yes, all of that. But sometimes even having a two-parent home, the child still could be abandoned in some form of fashion, which is basically dealing with Peter Pan's, MJ's, or anybody else. I could just say just me, myself, and I. When it deals with your emotions, sometimes most likely that is what's being abandoned, dealing with the children. Okay? Okay? So Peter's fear of abandonment into violence disguised as a play. Okay? All right. The eye twisted Peter Pan's fear of abandonment into violence disguised as a play. Won't it do it? The consciousness will do it. Okay? Your mind will play tricks on you. And you have to be very aware of that. Okay? Now, these pirates, that's in connection to Peter Pan as well. Okay? They pretty much, in the story that we got as children, they were the villains. They were the thugs, or the criminals, the warriors, right? But in reality, they weren't villains. They was really trying to save, not even save, they was trying to help Peter Pan to evolve, to grow up, to let go, okay, of Neverland. I mean, the name says it in itself. Never land. You would never land in your journey if you are consumed around this energy and you're comfortable in it. So is MJ. He was consumed in this energy, this childhood energy, this childlike energy that he never emotionally matured or grew up. Okay? So it's not far-fetched that he was attracted or in connection to children as much. Okay? That we don't want to seem to think that he wasn't. Okay? Peace, peace, sis. Now I know a lot of people not gonna want to hear this about MJ because MJ is they hero. Okay? That's my family. That's MJ. That's MJ. What you talking about, girl? I know a lot of people don't like to hear their favorites. Okay? Have some form of issue. But make it make sense. If MJ had the mentality of a child and never grew up, how is it far-fetched that he was involved in some type of abuse with a child? How is it? Now, we don't know if he intimately was with these children, all right? We don't know if he intimately touched these children, but what we do know is these children was exposed through certain things dealing with MJ in Never Land. Okay? Um, so the pirates weren't villains. And for everybody coming on, we're talking about Neverland. And of course, you're probably going to hear me go back and forth with Neverland and MJ and some other artists. But I'm just trying to give y'all a full view on what this Neverland narrative really considers. Okay? Where it's based on. Okay? Because, we was taught that Neverland was this fun place and kids never grow up and never go to sleep, eat what you want. Is that really logical? Because there's no stimulations. There's no boundaries. There's no structure in that. So with this type of energy, it definitely also relates me back, like I said earlier, to the eternal dark side of one, or the internal self, that not that ether, that dark ether, that subconscious energy where it's formless. Okay? There's no structure. Okay? All right? The pirates weren't villains. They were former lost boys. The pirates, and including the captain. And we finna get to him too. But the pirates were former lost boys who escaped and they grew up. Now, we was taught that growing up was so bad in the story. But growing up is evolution. All right? It's evolving. All right? It is shifting. Yeah, it is a children's story. But we're talking about the dark side of this child's story. All these children's stories have a dark side. Everything is not always light and glitter. All right? So, yeah, it is a children's story. And of course, we're going to perceive it to our children as is. No, maybe in your ass, bitch. I'm sorry, sis. I'm blocking these people on here. I don't have my minds on here. But I gotta block them because if you don't have an open mind, you gonna have to try. You gonna have to troll somebody else today. All right. But yeah, the pirates wasn't the villains at all. They was former lost boys who escaped and grew up, only to be hunted by the boy who refused to grow up. Ain't it like that in real life? When you grow up, or not even grow up, when you evolve, when you elevate, when you become greater in your journey, you doing great things. Here come these immature ass motherfuckers who don't want to grow up, but want to keep you stuck and dumb and blind in Neverland and don't see nothing else. So Peter Pan was hunting these boys because they grew up, which is they evolved, they elevated. All right. So while we thinking that Peter Pan is the savior and Peter Pan is he's the yes, he's the main character, but he's just also good. Peter Pan was actually the opposite of what we was taught. Be logic with yourself. All right? I'm trying to find my light. Oh, it's right here. But you got to be logic. You got to think about this thing. All right? They was trying to save Peter Pan by helping him to escape, and he's trying to hunt them so he won't have to escape, so he can stay stuck. That's why you can't save everybody. Okay? No matter what you do, you can't save everybody. Not everybody's going to be open-minded. Not everybody's going to see what you see. And that's fine. That's okay. You have every right to believe or look at anything the way you want to. It's fine. Now, Captain Hook's curse is what we was taught. It was a curse. He was the curse. But Hook remembered everything Peter forgot. Captain Hook. Okay? Remembered everything Peter forgot. Captain Hook remembered the real world. He remembered aging. He remembered the moment he broke free of the island's spell. See, while we was perceived that Peter Pan was the first to be on Neverland, he wasn't the first. Okay? As you can see, there's the Lost Boys and there's the captain that was also once Peter Pan. Same thing as MJ. He wasn't the first and he ain't gonna be the last motherfucker that targets young children. Okay? One thing about young children, you can manipulate them. Okay? Their minds are so gullible and they're not completely formed. So they're able to be manipulated and controlled. All right? All right? So Captain Hook remembered the moment he broke free of the island's spell. Okay? And the island hated him for that. Ooh, yeah. Don't that I hate that you can see everything from it? Okay? I'm not literally saying it, not literal sense, but you know. The crocodile that stalked him was not a beast. We was taught that. We was taught it. We was read that. Okay? The crocodile that stalked him was not a beast. It was time itself. The one force Neverland could not fully erase. Okay? Time. Even though it's an illusion, you can never fully erase it. It has a lot to do with your alignment in your journey. Okay. Its ticking was a reminder that Hook belonged to the world of adults. Yeah. The world of adults. Why didn't MJ find interest in that? Oh, because I forgot. He never fully grew up because mentally he was still a child. Okay. But the ticking was a reminder that Hook belonged to the world of adults and that Peter's world wanted him dead. Yeah. All right. But Hook wasn't trying to kill Peter. He was trying to free him. See, we grew up that Hook was the villain. And Peter was the hero. This is a story of manipulation. All right? To keep you in a certain vibration. One thing for sure, I know that MJ was manipulated like hell. Even as a small child. So when he became an adult, he could not comprehend. He wasn't aware of these tactics. Now, he began to take on these tactics. All right? This grooming in a sense. Okay? And he created his whole world around this. I know that they got documentations and people are saying that, oh, MJ was out there at Epstein. He was saving the children. Saving them from what? There's information that he was doing the same thing. But I guess everybody that come out, they want some money, they lying. Hate to be a part of that world. Tinkerbell's light. Because Tinkerbell is definitely one of those main characters as well. Okay? And Tinkerbell definitely always had the lights, the stardust, all of that. Okay? Now, the fairies in Neverland were born from children's emotion. I remember back then when I was on my journey at the beginning and I tapped into the fairyland and the fairy world, and the energy from it was very vibrant and very strong and powerful. Yeah, I'm not going to say that part because we already know, but I can say that outside of this. But, the energy was very powerful. All right? And I knew that the fairies was always connected to the children energy. Now, this is just confirmation that fairies in Neverland were born from children's emotions, their energy motion. Okay? Tinkerbell was born from Peter's loneliness. When we had those imaginary friends and stuff, that type of energy. Okay? Abandonment, that type of energy. Yeah, you created it in your own mind. Okay? Off of your own emotion as a child. Okay? Take that in there with you. That is why her light flickered. That is why she was jealous. That is why she could be cruel. Such a little tank, like a little tank. She was very cruel at times. Okay? She was the embodiment of a child terrified of losing the only person who ever paid attention to them. Abandonment issues. Not getting no attention at home. Creating your own fairies. Through the mind, through your own mind, your power. Okay? Her glow was beautiful, but it came from a wound. Hear me? Yeah, her glow was beautiful, but it came from a wound. See, I'm not here to feed you no fairy tales. I'm going to give you the real tea and the real deal. I'm not going to feed your ignorance. I'm not going to feed you, no bullshit. We gonna look at things from all angles over here. All right? And I rock with open-minded people. Seers of the glitch to be exact. Okay? We see all, okay? And we tap into all. We just don't have that one track as mind. All right? We just don't believe the shit because the people are popular and they're famous. Over here. We don't do that over here. Okay? Now, Neverland was not a place, it was a spell. Let's be honest. It was never a place. It was a spell. All right? A spell that was cast by the collective of ache, of childhoods cut short, innocence stolen, dreams abandoned. It needed children to stay children so it could survive. Who did it remind you of? Not only do it remind you of Neverland and Peter, but who else does it remind you of? The one that they said, MJ, that was saving the children from the Epstein files, he was taking them right over to Neverland, which was a spell, an illusion, okay, that was cast by the collective of children who was in ache, pain. Life was cut short. Their innocence was stolen. Okay, their dreams is abandoned. Wishes is abandoned. Their emotions is abandoned. It needed children to stay children so it can survive. It needed children to stay children so it could be manipulated. All right. Hold up. All right. Every laugh fed it. Every time every laugh, which is every fake ass laugh, fed this illusion. Amen. Every forgotten memory strengthened it. Every refusal to grow up, which is evolve or elevate, sealed another soul inside its borders. Okay. Peter was not its ruler at all. He was its prisoner. Yeah, the mind enslavement. And it not only was he its prisoner and its weapon. Okay? Peter was its prisoner and its weapon. Okay? The dark truth is that Neverland ends the moment a child chooses to grow. Just like when you choose to grow up from when you was a child, or you would choose to shift into teenagers or preteens, or you begin to evolve in your journey, you tend to disconnect from. Please go on. You cannot get in here. Why? Wait till I'm done. You cannot disconnect. I mean, when you grow up or you evolve or, in your journey, you disconnect from that childhood imagination. Or what is the other word I was talking about? The other one. I can't even think of it, but the childhood imagination, you tend to disconnect from that when you start to evolve in your journey, okay? But Peter never chose to grow up. He chose to stay in that energy, okay? So the island remains, okay? Drifting in the space between dream and nightmare, waiting for the next lonely child to whisper, I wish I could stay young forever. My bad, y'all. I had to get her out of here. She making noises, which is throwing me off a little bit because the word I was trying to use, I couldn't even get it because she over here making this and stuff. Imaginary friend is what I was trying to, when a child disconnect from that, they begin to evolve in a journey. They begin to grow up in a sense, right? But Peter chose not to do that, which a lot of people are in adult bodies but still have a child mind. That's the same thing as MJ as well. Okay? That doesn't mean that we have to be sympathetic towards them. No, you have the ability to grow. You just choose not to. You have the ability to heal. You just choose not to. You know what I'm saying? You have the ability to see the truth, but you choose not to. All right? You have the ability to change in your journey, but you chose not to. You want to stay sucked in this energy, dealing with this childhood energy where it's so much of the innocence taken, the pain, the aches, and all of these illusions, all right? They're not even helping you grow. It's just hindering you in a space of never land. You're never landing in your journey. You're staying stuck. All right? And that's the same thing for MJ. Yes, he was a musical genius. Okay? Yes, he was a legend. Still is. Even through his transition. But mentally, we ain't talking about the physical body because physically he was an adult. But mentally, he chose not to evolve in his mind. He chose not to heal. All right? So you're going to tell me an unhealed ass person had the ability to save somebody else? Nah. Miss me with the bullshit. Okay? All right? All right, so let me go to the next one. My next slide that I have pulled up. Okay? Oh, I'm in the wrong. What is this? Okay. We're going to go deeper into this Neverland energy. Okay? We're going to go deeper into it. All right? Because we just talked about the bases dealing with Neverland and the characters. Now let's really get into the overall projective of this Neverland energy. Okay? And maybe you will be able to have a little bit more clarity dealing with it. Okay? And understanding MJ's mentality surrounding Neverland. And I don't want to hear the fact that he was this type of being, but he never did anything. You don't have facts that he didn't. But what we do have is documentation. Okay? But Neverland is a cosmic it's a cosmic shaped by your energy. Okay? And it becomes less a place and more a living consciousness. Okay? It's a realm that recognizes you, responds to you, and reshapes itself around the symbols you carry. It stops being a children's island, okay, or fairy tale, and becomes a mythic ecosystem of memory, divinity, and shadow, okay, where imagination is not an escape, but a force of creation. Okay? All right? Neverland has a cosmic mind, okay? It's no longer an island floating in a child's dream. It is a sentient nebula, a vast mind made of your forgotten selves, ancestral echoes, unspoken desires, abandoned timelines. Because the children in Neverland, they forgot time. They forgot, the timelines. They didn't know how long they've been there. They get out of touch with this reality, which a lot of us did when we had, imaginary friends or we was in our imagination. which is normal and, pretty much normal for a child. Okay? Hell, even as adults, we get caught up in that energy still today. Okay? It behaves like a cosmic brain. Each star is a memory. Each constellation, a belief. Each nebula, a wound or a wish. The entire realm pulses like a heartbeat, slow, ancient, and aware. Okay? Neverland is not a refuge from growing up. It is a mirror of the soul, showing what you refuse to see and what you secretly long for. hmm I mean, man in a mirror, to me. I still love MJ, but the brother had some issues. We all know that, and we all can agree with that. At one time, they was calling him Wacko Jacko. Like, come on, y'all. Don't act like y'all act like Michael MJ was some innocent being when he had his own troubles too. He just didn't have the right people, I think, around him to evolve through these emotions so he can grow. All right, or heal in a sense. All right. Peter Pan is the eternal archetype. Okay. He is the archetype of unprocessed potential. Mm. A being made of pure impulse, unclaimed power, unhealed innocence. Didn't I just say that? hmm He flickers between forms. Sometimes a child, sometimes a star, sometimes a shadow with green fire in its veins. I mean, didn't MJ do that? He was flickering between forms of childs, of sometimes being in the childlike and he knew when to show up to be the star. Okay? And sometimes a shadow with a green fire in its veins. Ooh. Okay? He is the embodiment of the part of the psyche that refuses to be defined. All right? His flight is not physical, it is ascension, the ability to rise above the gravity of identity, which is what Michael could not grasp. Okay? And I keep saying his name, but MJ. Okay? He could not grasp it. Okay? And don't he have a song called Gravity? It's crazy because a lot of this is popping up. Yeah. But he is also trapped because potential without direction becomes chaos. Okay? The Lost Boys as fragments of self. Okay? The Lost Boys are going to be fragments of your eternal self. Okay? They are not children in this, and when it comes to the cosmic mind, they are splinter cells, versions of you that broke off during moments of trauma, transition, awakening, and forgetting. Okay? And each one of those lost boys was symbolic to each one of those. Okay? Fragments of yourself. Each one carries a different emotional frequency. One is joy you abandoned, one is anger you swallowed, one is creativity you outgrew. I know a lot of us, when you become an adult, you outgrow the creativity a lot of times. Okay? And then it takes you to get back into your creativity. That means you have to get back to the childlike energy. And we've discussed this over the years, dealing with your spiritual journey, your self journey. You have to get into that childlike energy. We wasn't saying become like the child. We're telling you to get into the childlike energy so you can heal. Because once you be gone, you go through healing and become aware and you start to transition and and become awakened, your frequency level starts to shift, okay? And you become more open-minded. You become to evolve or elevate, all right? But hey, okay? But one is your anger you swallow. One is creativity you outgrew. One is innocent you protected too fiercely. Ooh wee. Okay? They roam Neverland like constellations in motion. Mm-hmm, sure did. Searching for the moment you would call them home. Okay? Now, Tinkerbell, dealing with the cosmic mind, is the spark of consciousness. Okay? Tinkerbell becomes a quantum flame, a flicker of awareness born from your longing to be seen. Her light is not fairy dust, it is intuition, your inner voice, sudden clarity, the spark before transformation. Hold on, y'all. Shut my door. All right. But yeah, her light is not fairy dust. It is intuition, inner voice, sudden clarity, the spark before transformation. She glows brightest when you are on the edge of becoming something new. Okay, like that light goes off. She dims when you doubt yourself. Yes, your light does dim. All right. When you start to doubt yourself or doubt any situation pertaining to yourself in your journey. Her jealousy is not petty, though. Dealing with the cosmic mind, it is the fear of being extinguished by your own disbelief. Okay? Now, this time around, dealing with Captain Hook, okay, in dealing with the cosmic mind, Captain Hook as the guardian of time. They all over the place today in here, y'all. Captain Hook as the guardian of time in dealing with the cosmic mind. He is no longer a pirate. He is the keeper of Chronos. And I think y'all probably heard of the god Chronos. But he is the keeper of Chronos, the one who remembers what the realm tries to erase. His hook is a crescent blade forged from collapsed stars, able to cut through illusion. Okay? He represents maturity, accountability, the weight of memory, and the inevitability of evolution. Okay? All right? So all the things that a lot of people be trying to escape, and such as Peter Pan. Okay? And it's a lot of people in this world who tries to escape that. All right? Because for one, the number one is taking accountability. Was it not his childlike personality that assisted in his genius? Yes, yes, yes. Yes, it is. I'm gonna have to process some of this. It's a lot. I know, sis. But yes, his childlike personality definitely did have him tap into your creativity. And that's not hard to do, even when you mature as an adult in this adult stage. It's not hard to tap into that creativity. All right. And because, dealing with pressure and being able to be in a space to tap into creativity. Because when Michael actually recorded a lot of his songs, you couldn't be in the space when he was doing these musics. Okay, that they there couldn't have been no distractions, no nothing around. All right, and some a lot of the times you have to be in a self isolation to tap into your creativity. That's just like with me with my own creativity, my own craft. I don't craft until I'm in an isolated space where my energy is high. If my energy is high, then I can tap into my craft. Whether it's me creating my merchandise, or me doing spiritual readings, or even coming on here and doing the lives, the breakdowns. If my energy is not right, I'm not going to be able to tap into the creativity, which is a powerful source of energy, dealing with the childlike energy of yourself. Then I'm not going to be able to sustain anything. I'm not going to be able to focus, you know, at that objective of hand. But sometimes there's crosshairs when it comes to your creativity, and especially when your innocence is being taken, or when you dealt with abandonment or some form of trauma, or manipulation, or some type of misuse, or mishandling as a child. That causes it to be hard for you to tap into your creativity, if that makes sense. So yeah, his childlike personality definitely assisted him to be a genius, because the child is the genius. It can be manipulated in so many forms so many forms or factors in our journey. All right, and Michael, his safe haven wasn't really Neverland. It was his music. That's what really connected him to his childlike, energy, that childlike energy within him, because he started doing music as a child. He loved it. That was his craft. So he would have to tap into the childlike energy to tap into his craft. Sometimes even being around children, you can tap into that craft. All right? Just like with R. Kelly. To be honest, his craft is music too. And he had to be around a certain bracket of women, or young women, to be able to tap into this energy to create these songs. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not going to take away from the child, because the childlike energy, because the childlike energy can definitely be unstoppable, but it becomes tainted in certain diversities of our journey. All right, so you just have to keep that in mind as well. All right, so back to Captain Hook as the guardian of time. That the crocodile that stalked him is not a beast, like we said before. All right, it is the entropy, uh, the slow unraveling of things. It's ticking. Is the sound of the universe aging. Okay, and like I said before, the universe is basically your consciousness. All right. Hook is not Peter's enemy. He is the force that assists him. All right. Peace, peace, fam. How you doing? He is the force that assists him. You must grow. You must change. You must become. Okay. As Neverland was a childhood story that basically told us, there's a realm that we don't have to never grow up. But this realm, if you really even read the story, just read the story. Majority of the children that went to Neverland, especially the newest ones in the book, right? The ones that they speak about, they loved Neverland to a certain point, and they was ready to go. All right? Even though Peter Pan was trying his best to keep them there. Eventually they got bored. They was ready to go. A lot of those children wasn't abandoned. They wasn't hurt. They didn't have to deal with any type of trauma. You know? They just was tapped into their imagination and their creativity. All right? And by Peter being connected so divinely to your consciousness, or the cosmic mind, of course, his energy played upon that, dealing with these other children. Okay? Yes, sis. I'm going to rewatch Peter Pan through another lens. Yes, do it, sis. Because I'm definitely going to watch the movie myself from a different lens, since I've actually tapped into a different side of this energy dealing with Peter Pan or Neverland, the story, and realizing Neverland wasn't so glitz and glamour. You know, it wasn't this big fairy tale that we thought it was. There's another side to it. But even in, like I said, in the story, the children eventually at the end, they end up going what? Back home. They didn't stay in Neverland. They grew up. Peter Pan stayed. All right. Um, but yeah, Hook wasn't Peter's enemy. He is the force that assists. You must grow. You must change. You must become. Okay. Oh, I don't went too far. Hold up. I'm in my notes. Now, the island's true nature. I'm gonna finish these notes, and then we're gonna get out of here. The island's true nature in this cosmic version, dealing with dealing with Neverland being the cosmic mind, is a threshold realm. Okay, a liminal space, and we've talked about liminal space before here. A liminal space between who you were and who you are becoming. Okay, it feeds on it. It feeds on forgotten dreams, suppressed emotions, abandoned identities. Okay? But it also offers power, which is another reason why a lot of these Illuminati or elites, higher ups, love to entrap children because of the power that is possessed so deeply within the child or the children per se, you know, because as us as adult, we kind of disconnect from that childhood energy, childlike energy. But for children, they're still in this energy of innocence, right? So it offers a substantial amount of power, all right? Even in your journey. All right, and I'm gonna get back to that even in your journey part, okay? Because I'm gonna show you from my experience how powerful that childlike energy is. But like I said, it can be manipulated, okay? Um, from someone else. The child can itself. But the power offers, but it also offers power, which is the ability to rewrite your story. Okay, that's the healing part. All right, that's the evolving, the evolution of oneself. All right, that's the change. That's you changing in your journey. Okay, which they call it growth or growing up or maturing. But it gives you the ability to rewrite your story. It also offers the power, the chance to reclaim lost parts of yourself. Okay? Also, the freedom to shape your own myth. Okay? And we know myth is just stories, fairy tales. All right? Your own myth. Okay? Neverland is not a trap, though. It's not a trap. It is a rite of passage. Okay? So next time you watch Neverland, think about these things. Okay? Think about them, because I'm definitely going to be thinking about them when I watch it. Um, your symbolic presence in this realm, okay, dealing with Neverland, your energy, mythic, ancestral, cosmic changes Neverland itself when you enter. Okay? When you enter, the sky shifts to your colors. Mm-hmm. The constellations rearrange into symbols. Mm-hmm. The lost boys recognize you as a returning deity. Mm-hmm. Peter becomes curious, almost reverent. Mm-hmm. Tinkerbell burns brighter in your presence. All right? And Hook watches you with wary respect. Mm-hmm. It sure do. Okay? That's a symbolic presence in this realm dealing with Neverland. Okay? Through the cosmic mind. You are not a visitor. Okay? You are a catalyst. Bye. All right? And your presence awakens the island's dormant potential, turning it from a realm of stagnation into a realm of transformation. Okay? The deeper truth dealing with Neverland is not about refusing to grow. It's all about choosing how to grow. Okay? Which a lot of the lost children, the lost boys, the captain, all of them figured out how to grow. They all escaped Neverland, which is dealing with the cosmic mind. Okay? They all learned how to escape it, right? It is the cosmic landscape of your inner evolution where shadow meets light. Let me read that one more time because this goes back to the origin of self. Okay? It is the cosmic landscape, hence why they call it Neverland, of your inner evolution where shadow meets light, where innocence meets power, where memory meets possibilities. Okay? It is the place where you gather your scattered cells and step into your next form. Okay? So Neverland has its perks. Okay? With you becoming, you not becoming, but you evolving in your journey. If you don't get out of here, I promise you. With you evolving in your journey, but it also has a dark side, which deals with those who don't want to grow, who don't want to heal, who don't want to take accountability. All right? The same type of energy that Peter Pan had. Okay? Dealing mentally with your mind. Okay? And a direct connection to your soul. Okay? Which is why MJ never mentally grew up. Okay? Once he began to grow up or evolve in his mind mentally, MJ, he would have been aware, okay, of all the trauma, the abandonment issues, okay, things that he wasn't held accountable for or nobody else was held accountable for. He would have actually seen the truth about his own family. And we ain't talking about just finances. All right? And we're not talking about his career. All right? Had he been aware of this type of transformation, he wouldn't have even put himself in a situation, okay, where he had to come out and pay behind the scenes, okay, dealing with these children that he was taking to Neverland. Now, how is it not iconic, but ironic for us to see this energy in R. Kelly and call him Pete the Piper, which is the same energy that feeds off of children? How is it we can see that in R. Kelly, but we can't see it in Michael? Oh, because it's MJ. But see, that goes back to that black and that light or that black and that white era. And I'm talking about energy. I ain't talking about really just pigmentation. But that plays into it too. Because Michael was very light and R. Kelly was dark. Or, whatever. Color. So it's easier to believe that he had that type of energy on him and he was the curse to our neighborhoods. But it's hard for us to believe that with MJ. That's just like when their perception of you, colored people, as the beast or the devil, right? And they hold the symbolism or the symbolic energy of those of Caucasians as Jesus because they're white. And they're right. So how in the fuck can we not see this energy? And that goes back to what we was groomed into as well, when it comes to these false realities. I tried to fly like Peter Pan as a kid for the summer. Okay. So definitely. Shit, I wanted to go to the Neverland my damn self and see it was a reason behind it too. Because as a child, I was being mistreated. As a child, I was abandoned in certain areas in my journey. Okay. I felt lonely, alone, a lot of times. I had an imaginary friend. I was always in my imagination. All right. So that I wanted to go to Neverland. I didn't feel fat in this shit. But I get it and I understand it why now. You know what I'm saying? And that's not just, on a physical aspect, but spiritual as well. Think I or a part of me is in Neverland. When I reflect on how I was a child, I want to be her again. I was so creative. Right. And that is a place to get into. That is a place to get into. Thanks, sis. I appreciate you for joining too, as always. Okay. But that is the place that we definitely speak about a lot, getting back to your childlike self because the child needs to be healed because the child is the power. Okay? And the child creates our reality. This is what I want to say about what the child creating. The child creates your reality. All right? As me being a child, when I was a child, I pondered on a lot of things that I wanted in my journey. I've talked about a few of them, but I've pondered on so many things that I wanted in my journey. To the point I end up getting a journal, or as they say, a diary, and I end up writing a lot of these things in a diary, and they became to fruition in my journey. The same way I wrote it out, the same way I was pondering in my mind, my cosmic mind, because I'm tapping into the creativity. All right? Creativity is the creator. It's going to create everything in your journey. So that's why we speak about it heavily, of course, to tap into your childlike energy a couple years ago, because we had to heal the child. All right? And if we didn't heal the child, we was just Peter Pans around this bitch. Didn't want to grow up. Walking around unhealed, abandoned, lost, confused. All right? No family, lonely. We walked around in that energy. And that's what Peter Pan was representing. All right? But all the children who came to Neverland, they had families. All right? They was loved. They wasn't destroyed. They didn't deal with any type of trauma, but they was into their creativity. And that's how they connected to Peter Pan. And see, Peter Pan tapped into these children who were innocent, vulnerable, easy to be manipulated. All right? Just so he can have somebody right with him in Neverland. So we gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about it. You know? We gonna talk about it. But yeah. So next time y'all watch Peter Pan or you tap into that energy, think about it being your cosmic mind because it's really what it is. And then connect the dots to your spiritual aspects of yourself dealing with Peter Pan. And if you want to dig a little deeper, connect that shit to MJ and you can understand. Because I can understand all people who have went through something or done something. And I'm not saying that, judging them to be or condemn them to be bad people. But we can see people when they're not healed. Okay? Peace, peace, sis. Okay, girl. Don't forget to hit the like on your way out. Shit alive, whatever you do. Okay? But yeah, I'll be back soon too, though, sis. I appreciate you coming on here. But yeah, like, we real recognize real. We can see when motherfuckers is not healed. If we was calling this man wacko jacko, we knew his ass wasn't healed. Okay? Same thing with R. Kelly. Same thing with the rest of them. Okay? Because it's a whole lot of them. It's a whole lot of them. Okay? But we're not here to bash them. We're here to understand how this cosmic mind works. All right? Especially through this Neverland narrative. All right? Peace, peace, sis. I see you soon. But yeah. So yeah, next time you check out Peter Pan, like me and sis said, look at it from a different lens. Okay? A lot of them fairy tales. Look at it from a different lens. This ain't gonna be the first or the last fairy tale I'm gonna break down too, because there's a lot of them that have a difference, another side. Okay? Just like you have your good side, your bright side, you got a dark side. Okay? So every entity, every deity, every being in this existence does. All right, so we gonna this not gonna be the first or the last one. We'll definitely be back on some of these childhood stories because a lot of them deals with us spiritually. All right, it's the creativity, it's the craft of the child. And if you understand the fairy as well, the fairy is always been presented and symbolic to create an illusions. Okay, and if you know that the illusions is going to be created based off one's own emotions, especially self, then a lot of these stories is definitely based off of the illusions of the child's mind, which is the cosmic mind. Okay? But yeah, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here because this little girl here is killing me. She is trying to get in this closet, and I don't think I'll have anything else to deal with to say about this one. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was everything I had. I was just trying to make sure I had said everything about Peter Pan, okay? Because sometimes I be trying to make sure I had my notes in here. But yeah, y'all, I'll be back soon, sometime hopefully this week. I'm trying to do these lives in between times I have to work because they working me like weeks straight with no break. I just happened to take one today so I can have some time to do some things and especially do the live with y'all. But I'm definitely gonna try to come back soon as we have a lot of things that I've been tapping into during my isolation time. And I have a lot of downloads that I've been just putting to the side so I can come and do some lives for y'all. But yeah, as always, y'all, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for coming on the live. If you don't mind, like, subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, share the video if you feel the needs to. Okay. But other than that, I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. Okay. Love, peace, and oneness. And I see y'all soon. Peace.